Hello and welcome to the Jets TV Live pregame show. I'm Jamie Thomas. Very busy afternoon in downtown Winnipeg. The Jets will close out a three-game homestand against the New Jersey Devils, the Metro Division leading New Jersey Devils. And then at 5 o'clock, of course, it is the Santa Claus Parade. So lots going on this afternoon in the city of Winnipeg. Coming up on the pregame show over the next 20 minutes, Mitch Clinton, Jets TV reporter, will stop by with his thoughts on Brandon Tanev. Amanda Stein, Devils reporter, will give us her thoughts on the surprising play of the New Jersey Devils so far this year. And we'll hear from Brian Little and his thoughts on the Jets' start to the season, which has been excellent. One of their more convincing, or not so much the convincing, a better win for the Winnipeg Jets came Thursday night against the Philadelphia Flyers. Got off to a slow start and kept clawing back into this one. Let's take a look at the highlights of the game here at Bell MTS Place. The Flyers working the rebound to their favor in the opening 5 minutes. There is Jakub Voracek on the shot from Sean Couturier. Save from Connor Hellebuck. Big open net for Voracek. That made it 1-0. The Flyers will make it 2-0 on the power play. Big stop from Hellebuck on Wayne Simmons, but there's Couturier to put in the rebound. That gave the Flyers a opening 2-0 lead. No chance for Hellebuck on either one of those plays. And then a momentum-changing play. Radko Gudas with the cross-check to the back of the net of Matthew Perreault would get a 5 and a game for his efforts. The Jets did not score on that power play, but the momentum started to tilt in their favor. Big hit from Dustin Byfuglien in the neutral zone, just blowing over Jordan Wheel. And then it is Scott Laughton with the boarding penalty on Patrik Laine. Now, this is a significant play because on the power play that followed, the Jets break out 2-on-1. Joel Armia with the gorgeous saucer pass to Matthew Perreault. Perreault's first game back from that lower body injury. He goes 5-hole on Brian Elliott, and 5-hole would be the story on the night for the Jets on Elliott. There it is, nice sliding goal there. Perreault's got his second of the year. Then it is Perreault, one more look. Wonderful play, 2-1. Jets will almost make it 2-2 here, but Brian Elliott was equal to the task, sliding over, making a big stop with 4 minutes remaining in the third period. The Jets, though, would tie things up with the goaltender pulled. First time this year that they've actually pulled the netminder, and it is Blake Wheeler to Mark Scheifele. Scheifele's got 11 on the year. Huge goal with 48 seconds left in the third period. And a great look here at Scheifele making his 11th goal of the year. That was 2-2. These two teams would go to overtime, and the Jets had been winless in their previous 3 efforts in OT. Only once they've been to OT before this at Bell MTS Place. But in the overtime, there is Dustin Byfuglien to Blake Wheeler. They go give and go. Scheifele over to Wheeler. Wheeler just misses the inside post. They would go to the shootout. First time this year the Jets have gone to the shootout. Mark Scheifele would go first. He claimed there wasn't a lot of space, but if you look at the replay, there was quite a bit of space for Scheifele to score the first shootout goal. Voracek would be up next for the Flyers. He would tie it up on the backhand. Then it would be Patrik Laine. We've seen this move before, and he works it perfectly. 5-hole on Brian Elliott. So that would make it 2-1. Flyers would even things up. Wheel goes in. Nice shot. Blocker side on Hellebuck. Blake Wheeler with a chance to give the Jets a 3-2 lead in the shootout, but he is denied by the pad of Elliott. And then Claude Giroux with a chance to win it for the Flyers. He tries to go 5-hole into Hellebuck, and that would be closed. Brian Little starting to score again, and that is good news for the Jets. And then it is the save from Hellebuck. Jets win. Hellebuck remains unbeaten at home here at Bell MTS Place on the year. This is the Jets. An incredible 3-2 win over top of the Philadelphia Flyers. Here's Mitch Clinton to talk about things, and so many places to point to of who's playing well as of late. But Brandon Tanev has been a revelation of sorts this year. And can you touch on what the great things he's been doing as of late?
Well, it's just confidence, right? His confidence, the longer you play in the league, and Blake Wheeler's touched on this a number of times, confidence is just something that continues to build with experience, and that's exactly what Brandon Tanev's getting. Leads the team in hits with 48, and he's far and away the leader in that category. Second best is Josh Morrissey with 37. And in the block shot category, the top 6, or I should say the top 7, are all defensemen except for that one spot, and that's held by Brandon Tanev. He's got 19. He's tied with Dmitry Kulikov, and then the other names ahead are all defensemen. So he's doing a number of good things on the ice defensively, and then that line with Adam Lowry and Andrew Kopp. Paul Maurice talked about how that was a big momentum shift in that game. You saw how they almost tied the game. It was that line that almost generated that opportunity. He likes being able to put that line out as another option against the other team's best, and they're showing that they can go out there and do that, but also generate some offense as well.
He did use them to shut down Couturier, Giroux, and Voracek throughout that game against the Flyers through the second and third periods. It is Connor Hellebuck in goal again tonight for the Jets, or this afternoon, I should say. Steve Mason, the constant question is, When are we going to see him again? It's another one of those dilemmas maybe that Paul Maurice has. When do you think we will see Steve Mason again?
Well, I think the road trip for sure. I mean, there's obviously the back-to-back with Anaheim and San Jose. So usually you can kind of almost guarantee that without guaranteeing it, because Paul Maurice likes to kind of look at it as, well, what's the workload the night before? But he said that Steve Mason's last 3 performances, the 2 starts plus the coming on in relief of Hellebuck in Las Vegas, he stopped 69 of his last 72. So Mason's starting to really look like that goaltender that the Winnipeg Jets signed in the offseason. I think it's just a matter of time, but it's a good problem to have. I mean, Connor Hellebuck's 10-1-2, his .930 save percentage is tied for 4th in the NHL among goaltenders with at least 10 games played. So good problem to have between the crease for the Jets right now.
Another great dilemma the Jets have, or great situation they have, is they're second in the Central Division, they're third in the Western Conference in terms of win percentage. This is a much different feeling, and Brian Little touched on this a little bit yesterday, saying, I've never had this experience before. It's just nice to be chased instead of chasing.
Yeah, and even in the year that the Jets made the playoffs in 2015, they were always in just an absolute dogfight for that wild card, and it came down right to game 81 of the season. I remember that road trip vividly when the team found out in Colorado following a shootout loss that they were in the playoffs. Now the Jets, you look at them this year, they've got three-game winning streaks already, including coming into tonight with a 3-game win streak, 7-1-1 in their last 9. It's just a completely different feel where you're not feeling like you got to make up ground in November. So obviously it's a different feel in the dressing room right now, but at the same time, you talk to any of the players in the room and they're all saying it's still early. We got a long way to go here, but it's good to be in the position that Brian Little talked about. You're the one being chased instead of trying to make up ground.
Mitch, great stuff as always. Speaking of Brian Little, listen, he had a goal the other night against the Arizona Coyotes. He had the shootout winner against the Philadelphia Flyers. He's starting to produce offensively. Before we go one-on-one with the Jets centerman, let's hear from Paul Maurice on the little things that Brian does well.
All of them, the way he positions his body in the defensive zone to receive passes, or if the pass doesn't get made, to be in the right position to box out. He doesn't get ahead of pucks that he's, reaching back. Kind of all you got to do is hit me and I'm wide open and gone. Quickness from changes of sides in the offensive zone. He gets above his check, so he's not chasing it back up the ice, and he doesn't play a perimeter game. He's not a huge guy, but he's fairly thick for a small guy. He's in good shape. But he doesn't play a perimeter game and go hard to the net. He battles pucks out. He's just honest in his game, and he's got a nice set of hands.
Brian, just the way things have been going for this hockey club as of late, I know it's a small sample size, but do you get a sense this is a different team than a year ago?
Yeah, I feel
in
like
many aspects. I know every team's different, but
I feel like right now we're finding ways to get points in games where we're not even playing our best. I mean, the last couple of games, I think we know it can be better, but we're finding ways to win and get points. And a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have, we weren't finding ways to win those tough games, and right now we are.
Is there a different feeling? Is it a confidence thing when you start to pile up wins like that?
Yeah, I think when you have a good start, like we have, it gets everyone's confidence going. And right now we're getting some, really good goaltending, and that definitely helps. Knowing that when we do have breakdowns, they're going to make a big save for us. So, I think confidence is a big thing, and we're kind of feeding off it right now.
On that confidence note, how much did the confidence go up after you got that breakaway goal against Arizona? You scored the shootout winner last night. What did that make? How's that do for the confidence?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a goal after you've been fighting it, your legs feel a bit lighter, and I had a couple of really good chances during the game last night where I probably should have scored, but managed to get the one in the shootout. And you hope after you get a goal like that, you get rolling and get on a bit of a streak or something. So that's I'm just going to keep shooting it and see what happens.
How different were the games between Arizona and Philadelphia? It seemed it was 3 wins in a row clearly, but the wins seemed different in each aspect.
Yeah, I think last night we had to kind of battle back a bit. We had not a great first period, and we got down 2 goals, and we came in and regrouped and had a really good second, and put ourselves in a good position to come back. And that's another thing. We didn't have many of those games before where we stuck in games and came back and had big comeback wins like we did last night, and that's a really good sign that that we're staying in those games.
How do you prepare? The matinee games don't come up very often, especially for a Canadian team, but you play at 2 o'clock on Saturday against the Devils. How do you prepare for that? It's such a strange time.
Yeah, it's. I think everyone's. You play in this league long enough to get used to those games once in a while, and I feel like we had quite a few of those games last year. So the routine's a bit different, but once you get to the rink, it's all the same thing. So yeah, I mean, basically just rest up today and get ready for tomorrow.
Is it nice to be off early, though, in some aspects? You're going to be done at 5 o'clock tomorrow, and then you get your night ahead of you? Or is it, it may sound like a silly question, but in terms of routine for you, is it a little different like that?
No, that's definitely a bonus. I mean, you're not getting back to your house at 11 o'clock at night, and you're not up till 2 or 3 in the morning. So it's definitely nice when those games are over. I mean, you get to go out for dinner and relax the rest of the night. So yeah, it's a bit different, but yeah, I don't mind it.
With the Santa Claus parade, do you have an escape route planned out to get out of the building afterwards?
Not really. I'm going to try and take my normal way and see what's open and what's not, and maybe try and get out of here a little faster than normal and beat the rush.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
We ambushed Brian yesterday, didn't give him the opportunity to take off his elbow pads ahead of that one-on-one interview. We've touched on Brandon Tanev a little bit earlier in the program here, but I think it could be argued that the Tanev-Lowry line was the Jets' best line against the Philadelphia Flyers the other night, even though they didn't get on the scoreboard. Let's start with Adam Lowry first.
We're always happy to get that challenge and to go out against guys like that. And I think the biggest thing, it's you have to force them to defend. I think if you're hard on pucks and you're hard on them, and sometimes the more skilled guys they don't enjoy it as much. And I think if we found success, we tried to take away their time and space.
You're playing against a top line in the NHL, but you just got to go out there and do a job. Go out there and try to get some momentum for your team. Try to keep the puck in the offensive zone, be physical, and play fast, and get some excitement and some energy back on the bench.
We knew they were really dangerous, and we just wanted to be really simple and make them play in their own end, and not really feed their transition game at all, and not kind of make them disinterested in the game, honestly. So yeah, we were pretty successful with that last night, being physical, and then once we got on the puck, we were playing fast, and had some good chances too. So yeah, we were really happy with our game last night.
They're on the puck. They're above the puck. They make it difficult for you to move the puck from one end to the other, and you've got different elements. Adam Lowry, since he's been back from his injury, he's got a little bite to his game, physicality. Brandon's looks faster, if that's possible, than he was last year. He's a little bit more comfortable in his routes and his roles. And Andrew, from his time playing center, has gone to the wing, and he understands the game pretty well. So positionally, those guys have been solid.
Hey Jets fans, join us throughout the month of November to help raise funds for Cancer Care Manitoba Foundation in support of Hockey Fights Cancer. On November 27th, the team will be wearing special Hockey Fights Cancer Jets jerseys in warm-up.
Jets fans, let's rise together in our fight against cancer.
Because of their 1-0 loss in Toronto the other night, the Devils come into tonight's game, or this afternoon's game, with an 11-4-3 record, the exact same record as the Winnipeg Jets. And you could argue the Devils are the surprising team in the East, the Jets are the surprising team in the West. Now, the Devils only had 40 points a year ago and ended up with the first overall pick. That was Nico Hischier, who was playing very well so far this year. But there is a former Jet on the Devils, that is Drew Stafford, and he is enjoying life as a New Jersey Devil.
There's a lot of great people here, a lot of good memories, and had to kind of catch up with a couple of them there, quickly. And so, we got a lot of good memories here in this rink. And like I said, there's a lot of really good people here. So, it's good to be back.
I think they've done a really good job of adding a lot of speed and a lot of youth to our group to start the season, and it's really paying off. I think you see the chances that we create. They're in open ice, power plays, that kind of thing. It's a fun way to play, and we're playing a team tomorrow night that's a very fast team as well, so it's going to be a fun game.
Winning helps everything, so you probably say the same thing for the boys on the other side there. Winning kind of cures all, but for the most part, like I said, we're working hard, having fun, playing the system that we play, the type of game that we're trying to create a little bit of a culture identity here in the way that we want to play the game. So that comes with, like you said, having fun there, and leads to so far at least it's led to a pretty good start for us. So now the trick is to keep it going.
She is formerly of TSN 690 in Montreal. She's Amanda Stein, the New Jersey Devils reporter. Congratulations on the new gig first. And then my first question for you is, the Devils lose 1-0 in Toronto the other night, but it was not because of Corey Schneider, was it?
Well, thank you, first of all. I really appreciate that. No, it wasn't because of Corey Schneider. I think it was 0-0 going into overtime because of Corey Schneider and how well he's played. He has been spectacular for the team this year. It really seems to me that he came into this year with a blank slate. You know, sometimes you look at last season and what you can improve on. Because the team did so badly last year and really weren't playing the way they wanted to, it was easy to come into this year, for him especially, and just start fresh. Has a new goaltending coach who happens to be an old goaltending coach of his in Rolly Melanson. But for him, it's a blank slate for him, and he's been spectacular this year.
They looked like they were having a lot of fun yesterday, and I'm sure winning does that. But the New Jersey Devils, 40 points a year ago, I think it's flat out, they are the surprise team in the NHL this year. Is that the feeling around the city right now?
It's definitely the feeling for me anyways. This is my first year with the team, so it's a little bit different. I joined the team, and they seem to be on the rise. I'm not taking any credit for it. I'm not taking the credit. Oh, I can, I suppose. I could be part of it. But you would have to think so. I mean, having the #1 overall pick last year, Nico Hischier, and then coming into this year and being atop of their division ever since the season started, that has to be a surprise for anyone. And really just the way they're playing, I think that to me is the biggest surprise that they put forth to other teams. That's what surprised other teams. Just how well they compete, how tough they compete, and how quick they are. They're a completely different team than they were last year, so it's hard to gauge from last year to this year, you know, what team you're going to get.
Winning cures everything, clearly. And Taylor Hall had a tough time last year, and he was pretty clear about it. It was hard for him to watch the Edmonton Oilers, his former team, go to the Stanley Cup playoffs, had a lot of success without him. Now it seems like it's his turn. He seems like he's having a lot of fun and having a heck of a season so far, isn't he?
So he really is. He's the leading scorer on this team, and he's an interesting case because I think last year he was just so surprised that he was traded that it took him a really long time to get over that shock, and so it wasn't translating on the ice the way he wanted to. In the offseason, the general manager, Ray Shero, spoke to him quite sternly about what they need from him, not just on the ice, but also in terms of his leadership. He's been doing that this year. During the offseason as well, Coach John Hines came to Toronto to visit him and spend a day with him just to talk to him about what they needed from him. And I think those little things has helped Taylor Hall become a New Jersey Devil. Last year, he was a former Edmonton Oiler. This year, he is a member of the New Jersey Devils and one of their leaders.
Well said, Amanda. Great stuff. I really appreciate you joining us today. On behalf of Amanda Stein, Mitchell Clinton, I'm Jamie Thomas. Thanks for watching the Jets TV Live pregame show. We'll see you after the game for the postgame show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy the game.